Welcome to the HR Chat Show, one of the world's most downloaded and shared podcasts designed for HR pros, talent execs, tech enthusiasts, and business leaders. For hundreds more episodes and what's new in the world of work, subscribe to the show, follow us on social media, and visit hrgazette.com.
Welcome to another episode of the HR Chat Show. Hello, listeners. This is your host today, Bill Banham. And in this episode, we're going to discuss why HR tech platforms should consider pivoting to skills-first talent intelligence. Listen as we consider such factors as: what are the building blocks of a skills-first talent intelligence platform? What is the greatest source of ROI when companies implement skills-first strategies? What role does AI play in a skills-first talent intelligence platform or learning approach? And joining me on the show today is Shrikant Pattathil, President and CTO over at Harbinger Group, a global tech company that builds products and solutions, transforming the way people work and learn. Shrikant, welcome to the HR Chat Show. It's a pleasure to have you joining me today.
Thanks, Bill. It's a pleasure to be here talking to you as well. So looking forward to the conversation.
So beyond my intro just a moment ago, why don't you start by telling our listeners a bit about yourself, your career background, what you get up to at the company, and also something that gets you up in the morning, something that you're inspired by that gets you up in the morning.
Yeah, thanks, Bill, for the introduction. And just to add to that, my passion over the years has been to work with companies to turn their ideas, innovations into real products. And over the years, I have been excited about all the emerging technologies because that opens up a lot of new options into how we build new solutions, how we help customers do better and things much more efficiently, innovatively, and so forth. So be it emerging tech, or be it like a new go-to-market or a new feature, those are the kind of things that really excite me and bring the best out of me. And I've been fortunate over the 2 decades to collaborate with, technical leaders, product leaders in learning and HR organizations, and even in healthcare space as well. So given the focus of today's conversations on skilling and learning, I'm really looking forward to, sharing some of my experience and insights that seems like everything is under disruption right now.
Thanks for listening to this episode of the HR Chat Podcast. If you enjoy the audio content we produce, you'll love our articles on the HR Gazette. Learn more at hrgazette.com. And now, back to the show.
I know that one of your key interests is AI, and we can't go an episode of the HR Chat Show without talking about how AI is disrupting things, for example. And I'm sure we'll be getting to that later on today. Let's talk about skills for the time being, though. In your view, are skills a currency that measures workforce efficiency? Is it the best currency to do that? If so, why is that?
We are positioned in the HR and learning space. So everything we view from the lens of, how we can transform the way people work and learn. And today we feel that we are entering an era of hyper-personalization and hyper-automation, if you will. So given that, I think irrespective of what job or role you're performing in the organization, the level of proficiency or the precision that is needed to perform, is kind of getting evaluated very closely. And that's where, organizations are measuring as far as how they can beat competition. Therefore, I feel, skills and mapping them to the actual work is becoming central. And whether it from an overall talent and workforce perspective, be it things like hiring, learning, internal mobility, workforce planning, I think it's probably touching all these aspects. And therefore, from our perspective, I think skills is going to be the new currency when it comes to measuring workforce efficiency in the future.
Okay, very good. Let's break it down a bit though, by focusing on what a lot of leaders ultimately care about, which is the ROI. Where do you see the greatest source of return on investment when it comes to companies implementing skills first strategies? So, is that talent acquisition? Is that internal mobility? Will the best returns come from the upskilling? Something else? All of the above? Tell us more.
It's all of the above, of course. And like you said, ROI is kind of top of the mind for all the leaders. So if you have to start with, I feel for most of the organization, depending on their size, all of these benefits or some of them might be good or bad. But talent acquisition probably is going to be a game changer for everybody. So already in the reports, there organizations which are using skill-based workflows or skill-based hiring approaches, platforms, and so forth, they are reporting like a 25%, better ROI in terms of their at least speed to hire, because they are able to map people and get them on board quickly. The second most important area could be the whole upskilling, because everybody has a talent workforce today, and they know for sure that for tomorrow they're not ready in terms of the automation and what's coming up. So definitely there is this whole, and budget specifically, if you look at upskilling, have in many organizations they've increased by some number, so probably close to 90%. So I think upskilling is another area as well, where the skills first transformation approach is going to have a good bang for the buck for organizations. So I would say talent acquisition and upskilling, and then others.
Okay, I was just making some quick notes there as you were giving me that answer. Let's focus on upskilling. Just want to do a follow up there in terms of the upskilling piece. So you've got lots of people being upskilled, trying to remain relevant because of AI is increasingly taking over different duties. Excuse me. How feasible is that? What proportion of employees can be upskilled versus the fast-paced takeover of AI of lots of roles? Inevitably, I guess what I'm saying is some roles will be lost, right? Because AI is taking over certain things.
Yeah, there's no. I would say, again, it depends. The percentages will depend from organization to organization, but I feel at least 70 to 80% of their workforce can be upskilled, and there would be about 20-25% in terms of, because those jobs also don't exist. So there's no point skilling somebody for a job which doesn't exist anymore. So obviously they will have to do it for the new jobs, and for some of them there will be some sort of a reduction or change in strategy, which is inevitable, I think.
Can you spell out for our listeners who are less familiar, what are the building blocks of a skills first talent intelligence platform?
Now, what we have kind of outlined based on our experience is about 5 or 6 different components that are part of a talent intelligence platform. However, if you're already having a talent platform or an HR platform, you may already have some of these things in some shape or form. So it's all about how do you connect skills with it. But the 6 most important things that we think are necessary, which constitutes a skills first talent intelligence platform, is of course the skills graph, which comes in as like the heart of the skilling platform. It has to be AI driven. There has to be like dynamic ontology. It has to be able to map and the entire organization's various skills, based on roles, jobs, and so forth. So, and it has to be continuously evolving. So this whole skill graph creation, as well as management and maintenance of it, or extensions of it, is going to be very critical from a platform perspective. The second most important part is what I would say the existing role and job management piece. So that also, and fairly many organizations have that, but maybe they have to go granular at the skill level and have that built in. Uh, the the other two important pieces are, one is the skill gap analyzer, because based on the new jobs and the new roles that you're defining, uh, where are the skills that are missing, and essentially again here an AI based engine will probably make a lot of sense. Third thing is, mapping your fourth thing is you're mapping your content that you already have or you're sourcing, making sure that those content, the definition, the metadata has the skills information, because otherwise you will do all this systems and analysis and stuff like that, but if it's not mapped to training or the tools or the productivity systems that you have in place, you will not be able to do the just-in-time automation that is needed. And of course, the two other pieces that are also very important is the personalization aspect, so that whether it's somebody on the job assistance you're doing or recommendations based on what role they are going to change to, or what department they're going to move to, you will need that personalized approach in terms of training or giving the exact tools to make somebody effective. And of course, bringing all of them together, whether you have a talent intelligence platform, HR platform, ATS, various things, all of them talking the same kind of language and interacting with each other. So the integration and the ecosystem part is also so very important, because otherwise what happens is, if they work in silos, then we will probably not get the benefit. So yeah, these are the 5 or 6 components that we think are important.
Towards the end there, you spoke about personalized tools to make initiatives and programs more effective, which is a nice lead into my next question, which is, I'm guessing you're going to tell me that most of the time folks can partner with a technology provider these days because it's 2025 and they're really good at what they do. Mm-hmm. But when can it still be appropriate to build versus partner?
Yeah, that's a very interesting question. It goes back to the ROI question as well, right? I mean, in terms of you need this platform today or 3 months later or 6 months later. So what do you do? And I think the best situation for any talent management organization is to build it, because this is, like we said, so central to the whole everything working seamlessly. However, not everybody has the time and budget and resources to do that. So therefore, if what you can do out of the 6 components that we defined is, you can partner with the platform, maybe for 2 or 3 platform things. You kind of take their APIs and configure it, and whatever is core to you, maybe the personalization engine is, or maybe the skill mapping is, or so you build that part. So the rest of it, you kind of partner, and eventually when you can build it, you can build it. But that should be the approach, I think. But if you can really invest, I think this is something that you should invest, because customers will see the difference.
Okay, great. What customers? Can you share a couple of use cases with us now, if that's okay, of skills first transformations crafted by your global HCM tech? What are a couple of brands that you're particularly proud of helping?
Of course, this whole area is relatively new, and most of our customers that we are working with is kind of either building this, or they have piloted it with first 50, 100 customers and so forth. So especially this whole AI-based way of doing it. Of course, there was, even earlier days, if there was skills ontology and all of that was there. But the whole AI-based approach is fairly recent, in the last 2 or 3 years. We did 2. One, we worked directly with an end user organization which had like an ATS, which had like LMS and HR platform and so forth. But none of these platforms provided a skill gap analyzer. So specifically what we did for their recruitment use cases, again, to say that, okay, how can you make your hiring process much more efficient? So we took all the resumes, the job descriptions, the profile data and past interview data and everything, and created a skills ontology that is specific to their recruitment sort of needs. And then we fed it through an analyzer to their ATS engine and other engines, while dynamically mapping skills to whatever profiles will come. And that increased their overall efficiency in terms of filtering the profiles and hiring the right kind of candidates. So that was one example. The second example that comes to my mind right now is we did it for a leadership coaching platform. So their thing was in how to make the leadership coaching much more efficient and personalized. So one of the things we did is we built the assessment or a 360-degree sort of an assessment for the leader, and then based on all the comments that were collected, we did a skill gap analysis and the profile and the interests and so forth, and then provided targeted journeys and learning maps. So then what happened was each individual leader got their tailored curriculum rather than a standard one, saying that, okay, if I want to become a manager, I don't have to do all this, but it's very specific to my skills. And that improved the overall engagement plus the outcomes as well.
Okay, thank you very much. Many organizations talk about skills ontologies, but few use them well, perhaps. What advice would you have for companies building or adopting a skills taxonomy?
The advice is to make it a long-term sort of a vision. What happens is, in many cases, and that's also because you're not choosing the right platform to build this on. So many of the providers, like today's digital learning providers, large companies like Skillsocks of the world, degrees of the world, they are giving you tools in which you can build this ontology and maintain it and customize it and change that whole thing. So some of them may be in process, but others are already out there. So if you do that and then do it in a very structured way, then you can sustain it, because it's not a one-time thing. And in the past, what many people thought was, oh, I will just download an industry-specific ontology, apply it to my organization, and I'm done, right? I don't have to make any changes. But you have to adapt it to your own industry, own job roles, own organization, own departments, and continuously manage that on an ongoing basis. Then you will see the benefit. So my thing is, if you go down this path, then invest in a good platform that allows you to do that, so that you can do this by focusing on the domain and the creating the skill set, not worry about how it is done behind the scenes.
We are already coming towards the end of this particular conversation. Just a few more questions for you before we do wrap up. In what ways can a skills first approach help future-proof an organization against disruption? We are living in disruptive times, such as economic shifts or tech-driven job displacement. We spoke a little while ago about how AI is impacting certain jobs and certain roles, but maybe you can fill in some more gaps for us.
Yeah, I would say, in a way, in my view, we're trying to create an answer for the question. I mean, this particular problem statement, right? Because today the problem we have is because we don't have a good idea of the skill sets and how the transformation will need to happen. So it's kind of makes it very, very hard. So if we build the talent information system, which is skills based and centrally managed around that concept, chances are that in future disruptions, you will be much better prepared to tackle them better than your competition. Because if you've done this correctly and implemented this correctly, then those disruptions will be easier to tackle, and you'll see them more as opportunities than as problems.
Okay, what I'm hearing is just prepare, get it right, and it won't be so bad. Very good.
Yeah. It's not, but it's not like it's a complex task. It's not a very simple thing to get done. So it's a process. Like
one thing that we haven't really covered yet, though, with all these different disruptions and complexities, is the growing role of the gig workforce and contingent workers. That number seems to be getting bigger, certainly in certain job roles. How can a skills first model fairly and effectively incorporate non-traditional talent? Can we even call them non-traditional talent anymore? I feel like the gig economy has just been on the rise for so long, but where do they fit into all of this?
Yeah, when it comes to gig, and even in our organizations as well, right? We tend to kind of silo it to specific types of work and specific type of projects. And the problem is because our supply chain doesn't understand, how that skill is relevant to the current job, and if it's so granular. And in most cases, the gig workforce or contingent workforce is managed in a totally different system, so they are disconnected. So one is we have to bring them in to the ecosystem, and the skills based way of doing and connecting and creating that graph across all the talent that is available, whether it's your talent, gig talent, partner talent. Once you have that, you will be making more informed, better decisions, and you will look at all types of talent in a very democratic sort of a way, and be able to provide equal opportunities, which is good for you in terms of getting the competitive edge, as well as good for people, because they get to do what they like to do.
And that takes me to my final question for today, which is the same question that I always ask my guests, and that's, how can we connect with you? So is that LinkedIn? Do you want to share your email address? Are you all over TikTok and Instagram and all those places? And of course, how can our listeners learn more about Harbinger Group?
Firstly, our Harbinger, you can go to www.harbingergroup.com. That's the best place to find the latest on Harbinger Group. You can also write to us at info@harbingergroup.com. Our team is pretty, responsive from that perspective. If you have to reach me individually, you can email is the best option, Shrikant@harbingergroup.com. And of course, LinkedIn is too. I'm pretty, active on LinkedIn. So you can just look me up, Shrikant Pattathil, Harbinger Group, and you will find me. And that's also another way to connect.
Excellent. And there will, of course, listeners, as always, be links in the show notes. And that just leaves me to say for today, Shrikant, thank you very much for being my guest. I've appreciated your time and enjoyed the conversation.
Thanks, Bill. Thank you for those insightful questions, and thanks for having me.
And listeners, as always, until next time, happy working.
Thanks for listening to the HR Chat Show. If you enjoyed this episode, why not subscribe and listen to some of the hundreds of episodes published by HR Gazette? And remember, for what's new in the world of work, subscribe to the show, follow us on social media, and visit hrgazette.com.